Thank you for tuning in to another episode of WUC Fits. Today we are joined by Captain Center Strike. What's up, man? How you doing?
Not too much, man.
Doing pretty good? I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging out. Someone says there's some questions potentially that fitties might have for us.
Okay.
Think we answer a couple of those?
We can certainly try.
Give it a shot, right? All right. So we also have Captain Ball Speed behind the camera here. Just go ahead and do a little wave real quick. Just a hand. There we go. Perfect. He's going to be reading some questions for us based on feedback and stuff that we get throughout the comment section, let's say. So, shoot them.
Okay, first one is, what is the best time of year to get fit?
I would say, if you want from an equipment perspective, probably at the beginning of the year, because you're going to see all the new equipment. But from a fitting perspective, I'd rather see you at the end of a golf season when you have a full year of swings under your belt and you're swinging the way it's probably going to be kind of moving forward, let's say. Unless you're making big swing changes.
Me, on the other hand, I would say whatever the person's comfortable with. Because I've seen guys,
Yeah, that's true.
guys and girls, at the beginning of the year that they have zero swing thoughts and they actually probably swing better then than they do at the end of the season when they've actually worked on it all season. So it really depends. It's player dependent. It's got to be where you're comfortable. Because again, I can make justifications like AJ did as far as, I would say probably at the end of the year because you've had all year to kind of practice, but do you really want to buy your golf clubs and then not play them for 4 months?
Well, that's the tough part. And you are right. It is player dependent because thinking back at it, there are times when I could definitely say, and I even use this when I'm doing fittings in general, I kind of want the first couple swings rather than the 20 and 21st swing during a fitting. Mm-hmm. You tell more about a club in that window. Mm-hmm. So that's a good point.
So I guess the bottom line is it kind of depends.
When you feel comfortable.
When you feel comfortable.
There we go.
When the time is right for you. And it's going to be different for each person.
We're always here. So just come see us. We'll get you taken care of.
Another topic was, I'm a 30 handicap. I don't think I'm good enough to get fit. What would you say to that?
What do you think, Trent? Consistency in getting fit.
I think the 30 handicap person can learn more from fitting than probably a 0 handicap. Because it's going to be, not only is it the traditional fitting window as far as length, loft, lie, shaft, all that stuff, but it's really optimization of the set for the person. Maybe they have their 3-wood that they think they should be able to hit. Well, maybe they're not going to hit a 3-wood. Maybe they need to carry a 7-wood, a 9-wood, an 11-wood, something like that. It's building their set so that they have the right tools for the job.
I literally say the same thing, right? Give me the guy who has more niche things that he does and understands less about what his golf bag should look like, versus the guy who, like you said, is a scratch golfer. And I'm probably going to get at least a bigger result from the guy who knows less and is coming in with a bigger handicap.
Yes.
At times I've said, give me a PGA Tour guy, just give him a set of clubs. He's going to shoot under par regardless, where you can make some pretty good gains by getting a set that's gapped properly, by getting a set that just fits you a little better, that just allows you to go out and make a more consistent swing. And it's confidence. How important is confidence in getting your handicap lower? It's huge.
It's giving them a better chance at the end of the day.
All right, the next one is lessons versus club fitting. Which one should come first?
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
It's a tough one. It is a conversation that I would say obviously needs to be had. It's definitely a question that comes up. It's a hard one. I would, again, take it case by case basis. How old are your golf clubs? Are your golf clubs relatively new, like in the last 5 to 7 years, or are your golf clubs 30 to 40 years old? If it's 30 to 40 years old, I would probably lean you towards getting some more modern equipment before getting the lessons, because you're going to learn on something and then want to change. So that's usually how I approach it, but it would be a conversation I would have and see kind of where they are and what they're kind of looking to do.
Yeah, and most of the time, right, unless you're really making like wholesale changes, right? Again, when you're fitting someone, you're fitting based off patterns that exist, right? So unless a coach is trying to, again, completely from the ground up reinvent your swing, your patterns aren't really going to be changing all that much from a delivery perspective. Maybe some things minorly, but the fitting could probably still happen. I always tell people that if you, like you said, if your clubs are really out of date and not going to allow you to improve, you got to get new clubs regardless, right? But if you're in a window where you really are planning on making wholesale changes, maybe you have that conversation. Because like I said, it's worth the talk. But again, new equipment, modern equipment, it's never going to hurt, put it that way.
And sometimes it's a conversation you might have with the instructor too.
Exactly.
Depending on where that instructor is, and see what their thoughts are as far as what they're trying to get them to do. Because you certainly don't want to put them in one window and then the instructor's trying to go on the entire different
Communication is very important in that regard.
side of it. So,
Because they can contradict.
right.
Pretty common one is, I'm a beginner, should I get fit?
I think it's good to give the beginner a good starting point. I
Yes.
mean, if they walk into a store and just get a off the rack set of golf clubs or a box set of golf clubs to kind of see if they like it, I completely understand that. You know, not investing a whole lot until you kind of see where you want to go. If you know that you want to put some time and effort into it, it's good to kind of, again, that set optimization, trying to give them the right golf clubs, at least to kind of start out, at least giving them a chance so they're not, I mean, I learned on blades. I'm surprised I still play now.
Same thing.
As hard as those golf clubs were to hit, I don't know that I probably shouldn't have continued playing. The point of it being, if you have something that's relatively easy to hit and more fun to kind of start with,
Way more fun.
then it gives you something you can kind of work towards. Hey, you know, and I had this a lot during COVID, where there were guys and girls that were complete beginners, and they've since come back. We started them in one set, and this isn't the goal, but we started them in one set so that they can kind of develop some fundamentals and have a good baseline. And then now they're, you know, 4 handicaps, 5 handicaps, 10 whatever. They've gotten so much better because they've really enjoyed it and really worked on it.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
now they've kind of outgrown what they've had.
Lit the fire, you know? And when I look at people in that kind of category, right, there's multiple different ways to do fittings. There's, to a certain extent, even different levels of fittings, right?
Sure.
And as a fitter, I think a good fitter has to be able to, let's say, adjust goals and outcomes based on the level of golfer that you're working with, right? So if you come in as a beginner golfer, and let's say, you know, you're a beginner golfer and you're in college, right? Maybe you're in a pretty good athletic window and you swing a little bit harder. We both know that starter set's not going to last too long.
Correct.
So there are ways to fit that beginner golfer into something that does have a pretty good ceiling, that is going to let them grow and grow with them almost to a certain extent without going crazy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I've certainly seen it with female golfers that were athletes, either that played softball or played another sport, and
Fast hands.
they're coming into golf, and you know, you would traditionally, oh well, we just get a ladies box set. Well, it's not even close to fitting that person.
Not even close, because that's a very heavy, very soft, I mean, weak set. And honestly, it's probably too short too, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of different levels of fitting, and if you're a beginner, I would definitely not be afraid to come and try the fitting, because again, it's only going to help you improve. When you have the right tool, you can do the work more efficiently. That's how it works.
Their list versus my list, meaning a customer comes in, has a list of clubs they want to hit versus what the fitter thinks they should play.
I'll let you start here, Trent. Customer comes in with club expectations.
Sure.
You as a fitter see things and have, let's say, history to pull from.
It's certainly a talk that I have with anyone that comes in. I want them to have at least some sort of idea. I want them to come in with an open mind, but I like it when they have a list, because that means that they've done at least a little bit of research. Now, it might surprise them. They might think that they want to hit XYZ that's and maybe that's not at their level, but at least they hit it and they can decide. And maybe I give them a couple wildcard candidates that maybe they like that, maybe they don't. Maybe they really want to push themselves to get to that next level. So I like it. Again, I like it as long as I tell every single person I do a fitting for that I get at least one wildcard.
Yeah.
But that, at least I'm thinking, when they give those answers or they bring those clubs in, at least I have an idea of where to kind of start with a person. Sometimes there's so many golf clubs out there that sometimes it can be daunting, not only for the consumer, but the
Also
fitter,
for us,
because
yeah.
we have a lot to choose from.
You said it perfect, right? Because, like, for example, when I'm doing a fitting, if a customer comes in and gives me some clubs that they at least want to try, that answers a lot of questions that I have about the customer coming out of the gate, right? What are they looking for? What type of category or clubs are they looking for, right? You know, are we looking to get into something that's in like a player's distance category? Are we trying to improve to a player's cavity back category? Do we want a game improvement club and just go out and have fun, that kind of thing, right? It gives me a lot of information, and information is power, right? But then also, it shows that a customer, when they have something that they want to pull from, right? Like you said, has some sort of idea. I personally, like you said, want guys to have an open mind. I don't like when guys come in and say, I just want you to tell me what's best. Because I find that almost everyone comes in here with some sort of, I don't want to say expectation, but some sort of goal. And it's tough for us when we get halfway through a fitting and then all of a sudden, like say, the goals get redirected. You know, that's a tough part to come back from. So I always like to just kind of be upfront and almost a little bit blunt about it to begin with. Like, tell me what you want, you know? And I also say that, you know, as a fitter, we've both been doing this for a minute, you know, we wouldn't be very good at what we did if we couldn't make at least something close to what they were looking for become pretty good, you know? So sometimes we know it's not the best, but if it's really what they want, we just got to make it as good as we can get it, you know?
At the end of the day, we're just trying to give you the best chance.
Okay, the next one is, should I get fit on mats or grass?
Mats versus grass. Differences that you would expect to see and how you calculate for them during the fitting, let's say.
So I think we're lucky in here. I mean, obviously in an ideal, perfect environment, if I could, you know, move this place to Phoenix, Arizona, where it was dead perfect all the time, that may be a different story. But in here, we can control certain variables. The lie is always perfect. We do have two different types of hitting surfaces. I'm not worried about the elements as much. I'm not worried about, you know, the wind blowing you around or, you know, it raining on you or anything like that. So you can kind of hit through those conditions. That's kind of why we do it the way we do it. Again, it's trying to eliminate variables. That being said, you know, if you can hit off grass, you can test off grass, I'll gladly put you into a golf club, or with your help, put you into a golf club. And if you'd like to try it on grass, you can certainly do that.
We definitely have the ability to do that. We do that often.
But I guess the key is the mat system we have from Fiberbilt's really, really good. So it allows you to hit off of two unique surfaces. So it's not your typical mat.
Correct. It's much more, you're not going to see as big of a difference between these mats and grass as you would a typical driving range mat. And that's the big difference, right? When we do our testing, most of the time we're going to use Normalize on TrackMan, right? And Normalize allows us to, again, control more variables, right? And we've done testing, we've measured it. When we're fitting and we're measuring launch condition, it's not too drastically different typically, right? Obviously that is delivery dependent, but again, it's within a small enough window that we accept the differences, right? In general, what are the differences that you might see? You know, you might compress the ball a touch better and get a touch more ball speed off grass. You will probably get a hair more spin, but again, I can't even always say that because there is still delivery that has to do with that, you know? But those are the two things that most people hear about and most people would read about. So to address those things, in general, they can be correct. It's not always correct though. That's how I would answer that. And
the last one we get is an indoor fitting versus an outdoor fitting.
So even though we hit from inside a bay, we are considered outdoor because you're seeing live ball flight. I think that's huge because indoors is really just a guess.
It's a math problem.
It's
an estimate.
I've seen plenty of people that have come over from various indoor places and they say they have spin issues or spin problems or whatever until they actually see it outside, and they realize quickly that they really don't have the spin problems they thought they did.
Well, here's the reality of it, because recently that's been tested, right? Indoors, it's not going to read properly. For example, if you're a swinging driver and you can get over 103 miles an hour, it's not going to read properly. It's going to miss. I know. So the outdoor window from a fitting perspective is very important because it's more measured. It's not a guess or an estimate, right?
Yeah, it's tracking the entire time.
And here's the other thing that's super important. I do this in every fitting. I'm assuming that most guys do this as well. When you first start off, you give a guy a club, what's the first thing you're watching? Is it TrackMan numbers or is it actual ball flight?
Actual ball flight.
It's got to be because, you know, we're golfers first, right? We understand what a good playable ball flight looks like. I spend time talking about that with golfers, right? You know, do you like the way that ball flight looks? Before we even get to this, we have to pass like an eye test almost with ball flight, you know, and if we don't get there, we don't get there, you know, next club, because it's got to be there. That's confidence. And that's what you get outdoors versus indoors.
And TrackMan's just really good at being able to explain to the consumer what's going on. As opposed to just when they hit it and you say, oh, that's really good, you can show them why that's really
Why it's really good. Yeah. All the measured differences and deviations that we can show. Perfect. All right. So there's a couple of questions that you guys may have about the fitting process, right? Feel free to let us know if you have any more down in the comment section, or if you have questions, come in and see us. We're always here. Like I said, we're always trying to help you guys just get a better shot, basically. That's the goal. So if you have questions, let us know.
Don't forget to click
like and subscribe. There we go. Like I said, just come see us. We'll have some fun. Season's coming to a close, but that doesn't mean golf ends. So
not for us.
Not even close.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one, guys.